Hello, beautiful. How are you? And how are you taking care of yourself today? I am Heidi Esther, joyful purpose mentor, author, dog mama. Olive wanted to come and hang out today. We are in the basement because it's like 90 degrees outside, and I think it feels more like 100. So, yes, of course, she's in the basement, so it's a little chilly in here. Therefore, blankies. There she is. Okay, I'm going to put her down. What do you think, Olive? Hi, everybody. Cool. Okay. She totally has a chew bone, and I did walk them for like a little bit. It was like 2 blocks, and they got really tired out because it's not supposed to feel like Florida here in May. It's supposed to be actually pretty pleasant. So I didn't even work outside today. It's so hot. That's one of my things, like working out. Anyway, I am here today to share with you a story and a process by which you can more successfully guarantee positive forward momentum to see positive changes in your life, or you can even use the structure to work with unfortunate circumstances, like if you've recently lost someone or recently lost a job. That can also apply. It's kind of like a very, very flexible silly putty that you can use pretty much to move you forward in your life. So I want to tell you a little story. Anyway, just to let you know, this headdress I'm wearing, it's the white flowery thing. And this is what I wore for my wedding. And I guess will be 7 years ago this September. So I'm going to take off the headdress. Whether or not you are catching me live or on the replay, please do let me know how you are and how you are taking care of yourself today. I've decided to forego my daily tea, and instead I have some Crystal Light lemonade here to quench my thirst on the 100-degree day that it is. Okay, so here's a story. I sat there. Well, I almost laid there in mire. To my back was all the fish stuff. Fish food, fish flakes, fish rocks, fish fake houses. In front of me, a wall of fishies. You know those kind where you can go get somebody and then they can just like scoop up the fish you want and put it in a cool plastic bag. Next to me was my shopping cart full, overly full of groceries for the week and probably part of the next week. Next to me sat my little man, my shadow and my heart, my 2-year-old son. Almost 2. I had stripped open a bag of Cheerios, and I could hear him happily munching and crunching. Laying in my hands with a bottle in her mouth was my daughter. Super, super meltdown mode. All I could think was, why didn't I just, get out of the house earlier? Why did this end up during nap time? And I kept staring at the fishes across the aisle from me, swimming around the same house over and over and over. And all I could think of, other than my obvious love for my children, and I didn't know how I was going to get that ice cream that was melting in my cart and dripping on the floor. I didn't know how I was gonna get that home. All I could think of was like, "Is this it?" Okay. That's my story. That was me over a dozen years ago at a part in my life where I was trying my best. I was a new stay-at-home mom. I was trying to bust it out all the time. Kind of felt like a bag of wet, soggy noodles, though, to be honest, instead of like a fantastically fluffily baked apple pie. I felt like soggy noodles. But mostly, under all of that criticism and everything, I didn't feel anything. I didn't feel like super excited when my kids like hit milestones. I just felt like, thank God they're one day older to get some more independence. Because I was so buried under all my layers. Yep. I kind of view like all the roles and responsibilities and the relationships we have, they all give us layers and they're really important. And I'm not saying that we need to ditch all the layers. I'm just saying that there's something underneath all those layers that is just as worthy as all of the roles and responsibilities and relationships that we pour so much of our heart and soul into. A dozen years later, I'd gone through, I don't know, let's see, divorce and depression and a codependent, grateful recovering codependent now. And I got fired a couple times. And I looked back and I realized that every time there was this like large shift in my life, the fact that I made it through all had these same pieces. There were these same pieces of the puzzle that fit into place for me to succeed, to moving closer and closer to feeling joyful, to feeling more like myself, to feeling like I have a meaning under all of those important layers. Like there is, you know, eh, there's not an empty inner of the onion inside of me. There's a really vibrant, beautiful inner onion, and you have it too. So, thus, peeling the onion was born. A four-part framework you can look to bring new juiciness in your life, to explore new avenues in your life, to welcome in changes, whether or not you wanted them. So that's what I'm showing up and I want to talk to you about today. If you are excited about peeling your onion, you can email me at howdy@HeidiEsther.com to let me know what you think. You can also, if you're watching this on social media, put it in the chat, and I'd love to hear from you. So today, now this is a peeling your onion is kind of like a juicy, experimental, coloring, story-filled, curiosity exercise over 4 weeks. And I'm going to give you a little preview today of all the different pieces. And I want to share them with you in light of I kind of just they're in a lot of transformational movies, all the different pieces. But for some reason, Happy Gilmore came to mind. So I want to talk to you about peeling your onion as it relates to the movie of Happy Gilmore. Now, I don't know if you're an Adam Sandler fan or not. I don't even like golf because part of it's about golf and part of it's about hockey. I don't like either of those sports, but I thought it was pretty funny. Um, yeah. So, all right. So the course, there will be a pre part of the course that works a lot with giving yourself permission and worth. And there's a couple bonuses I'm going to talk to you about at the end. But the first main part is about developing a resilient mindset. That's the first. That's the first piece of peeling your onion. So resilient mindset has 4 pieces and or 5 different characteristics. There's curiosity, there's patience, there's courage, there's consistency, and there's compassion. So, not to have, I'll try not to have a spoiler alert, but Happy Gilmore was this dude, and he just loved hockey. He had a really strong arm. He could really knock the puck out of the park, but man, that man could not skate. And so his skating career is kind of like on thin ice. So he was kind of distraught and frustrated. But he's like, all right, one day he was taking out some aggression on some golf balls. And someone came up to him and was like, hey, you got a pretty good swing. I bet bet you can't hit that, or bet you can't go that far, or whatever. And he would just like, hit the ball to like God knows how far. And so he kind of was open, right? He was like, and someone's like, hey, maybe you can do golf. And he was open to it. So he was curious. And so he was willing to like, cultivate that and work with it. And um, so he went through all those things. So yeah, I would say that maybe he wasn't kind to himself and honest to himself at first in terms of being compassionate, but he definitely was curious. And he started working with people. So he started taking these tiny steps. And part of the resilient mindset is just developing that consistency. Even if you're not sure like all your steps are going in forward momentum direction, you're still taking steps. And so you're still figuring things out. So yes, Happy Gilmore started to develop his resilient mindset in the movie. And if you are showing up at any point in this workshop, please feel free to say hello and how you are and how you are taking care of yourself today. I am doing a recap of peeling your onion as it relates to the Happy Gilmore movie. And it also can relate to any movie that you like that kind of has that like, that makeover part where it's like the person kind of like goes through like a tough time and then boom, they learn something new and then they're able to achieve their goals. Well, at least in most American movies, people win or succeed in some way in the end. So the second piece of peeling your onion is support. I always like to say we were born with eyes and ears and mouths. So we are made to listen and to speak. And part of that is to ask for support and to ask for help. Happy Gilmore, he found like a mentor guy, some like old like golf dude who had gotten his hand like bit off by an alligator. But he was like, hey, I'll teach you the ways of the golf. And so there are three different people that you need to have in your life if you want to like, move forward or learn how to successfully navigate this change in your life. And so they're called the sleuth, the cheerleader, and the joy opener. So the sleuth is having that person in your life who will kind of ask you questions. Sometimes it's kind of annoying because they're not always like just agreeing with you all the time, but they're willing to be like, hey, what do you think about that? Or like, do you really have to iron your kids' overalls? Do you really have to stay up past midnight to get the folding done for the next day? People who are willing to ask you those questions. That's an important person to have around. So that's the sleuth. The joy opener is someone who can kind of like point you and show you in a new way. Like we use joy openers all the time to find new jobs. Like, hey, I want to figure out how to be like a travel consultant. So I'm going to like friend this travel consultant and then I'm going to chat with them and see like how they figured out how to make this their career. And so that travel consultant is that person's joy opener, and they can introduce them to like other people or the software that they need and cool stuff like that. So the last person is cheerleader. Do you have that person in your life who is that unequivocal, steadfast supporter? I'm not talking about someone that you can go and have drinks with and compare yourselves to other people or to whine about your circumstances. Those are not the people. That is not the cheerleader. The cheerleader is someone who sees you, like your next level you, and makes you feel great about like, yeah, like who you are, not just like everything you're doing, or not just the fact you always bring like the best cookies to the girls' night, not that. Someone who unequivocally supports who you are and will always see the best in you. They will not tolerate your whining. They will not tolerate your blaming. You will not go back and forth like ping pong balls on the comparison game. Like, oh my God, did you see her like dress? That's ridiculous. No, none of that stuff. Just like straight up real connection and real support. So Happy Gilmore had a PR person that was kind of like assigned to him, and she immediately saw the best in him. She's like, "Oh, this guy's going to be great. He could be revolutionary to like bringing in like new crowds and new golfers and all that stuff." But she believed in him, and she saw what he could be. Even while he was sitting there, like throwing his golf clubs at people and like getting in a fight with Bob Barker and all this crazy stuff, she was that steadfast friend, that cheerleader. Yeah. Yeah. All right, let's move on to the third one is the feelings. There's a feelings piece to peeling your onion. So you say like, why is there a feelings piece? Because normally, like if you think about it, going through like the whole journey where people have the makeover part and everything, yes, there is going to be feelings. You're gonna have to like shed some feelings. I don't know about you, but I was brought up like, suck it up, buttercup. Oh, you're fine. Brush it off. It's all good. No big deal. Shields up. So all this stuff that like taught me to keep my feelings inside. So through my process of going from that moment in the Meyer grocery to now, I've learned how to accept my feelings, like, and work with them, and not just say like, oh, I need some coffee, or oh, I need to organize my closet, or oh, I could really use a drink right now. It's only 8 a.m. That's fine. I'm sure it's 5 o'clock somewhere. So, um, yeah, so feelings are so incredibly important. And if you want to practice that little piece before the peeling your onion experience starts, start by journaling every day what something like if you had an experience and just how that felt in your body. You don't have to label. You don't need to label the feelings. I'm not a big fan of labeling feelings at first. At first I didn't have words for my feelings. I couldn't even tell you like I was having a feeling. All I could say was like, I felt off today, or that was weird. And so just start with how things feel in your body. Like, I felt like I was pulling out that last piece of the Jenga tower today, and everything was going to fall. Like you could start with like a metaphor like that. Or I felt like a dolphin, like, jumping up up in the air with my pot of friends. Like you don't have to like label the feelings. But feelings are such an important part of the process, because once you start to, get that consistency and take those little courageous steps forward, you need to do a check. You need to check in with how you're doing and how you're feeling. And I like to call it the feelings parfait. That is something where you'll be able to journal and kind of get a good feeling for what you're feeling, so that you can start to tap into your intuition. So I was not able to tap into my intuition fully until I had gotten through a lot of my feelings. A lot of my feelings were so old because they had just kind of been shoved down with all this other busyness, all these other layers of life, right? These roles and responsibilities and relationships. So it's very important to get those feelings out. And sometimes I would just like burst crying out and I wouldn't even know why. And so it's good to get the feelings out. It's good to be in a safe place to get the feelings out. So um, if you want to practice peeling your onion and getting the feelings out, I would say just journal how that feels in your body. Once a day, just journal how something feels in your body, and you'll get more and more and more attuned to what's going on and what your body is telling you. And yeah, so Happy Gilmore had an anger issue, and he was completely reactionary. He would just everything kind of ended up in anger. And so he had to work through recognizing, because first he was just like, beating up Bob Barker and all that stuff. So he had to work through all of his feelings and process them, and to a point where he knew when he was going to be explosively angry. And so um he was able to finally pull back, kind of like calm down, say like, "All right, I recognize you anger. You're right here. I'm not going to throw my golf club at the baby, and I'm gonna control myself." And so while that's an extreme case, like we all don't want to be walking around like, what shoe's gonna drop, what shoe's gonna drop, or like, and just have that nervousness, and just not know, like, are we going to embarrass ourselves today? Are we going to say something like that we regret later? And so having that strong sense of like what you're feeling, and being a little more like the passenger of your feelings, like that will help you. So once you feel that feeling, like, then you'll be able to know, like, all right, I'm going through a stressful time right now, and so these are my things. This is what I'm going to allow myself to feel, this, and then I'm going to take care of myself in a certain way, so that it doesn't get to a point where I'm just like in bed all day. So all right. And so, I didn't even go through. There was a support piece, and then there was a feelings parfait. And then the last step of peeling your onion is actually taking brave steps forward. So, once we cultivate all the different pieces of the resilient mindset and find support people in in your life that are trusted adults that aren't just going to sit there and be in the pity party with you. And then the next step is the feelings parfait. So learning how to accept your feelings, learning what they feel like, learning how to take care of yourself, and what taking care of yourself means during certain kinds of large times of feelings, like in grief. Our body kind of into uses a lot of energy to process grief. So we have to take care of ourselves differently when we're in that phase of, a part of that part of life is grieving over someone, or a pet or something. So the peeling your onion is while using it's kind of like the amalgamation. It's like, while you've kind of developed some of the resilient mindset, you have the support, you understand what's going on internally, and then you're able to take brave action steps and see what could be next for you. So you can use this during a challenging part of like a time of change in your life. You can use it to catapult yourself to a different level of joy and happiness in your life. Um, because, when I was sitting there in the Meijer grocery store, I had no real sense of who I was outside of being a mom and a daughter and a really bad new cook and a wife and a volunteer. And all those things, were my roles and responsibilities and relationships. I couldn't say honestly, when after I had started taking, work developing that resilient mindset and finding those people who supported me in those ways, you know, random things would happen. Like I'd be like, oh, like I would taste a hot dog and be like, I don't like hot dogs. Why am I eating this hot dog? Exactly. So, like, stuff happens where you start to kind of like piece things together and be like, oh, this totally makes sense. Why wasn't I doing this the whole time? Like, no, I don't like listening to loud music when I'm driving. I like listening to podcasts. Okay, let's do that. Or like dark chocolate. Where have you been all my life? So, all right. Well, those are the four different pieces. And please do let me know if you have any other questions about peeling your onion. And I also want to talk to you about bonuses. So, in the Peeling Your Onion workshop, which starts on May 26th, there'll be a couple bonuses. You get a signed copy of For Crying Out Loud, my book, and you also get a couple new printables, hot off the press from the Growing Your Joyful Life foundational workshops. So, the first one is 30 Days to a Guilt Free Life. And the second one was What to Do When Life Sucks. So those are little printables that you can use that have different steps that will move you towards a guilt-free life and how to reframe all the different crap going on in your life. All right. If you have any questions about peeling your onion, please let me know. Wishing you love, light, lots of cool lemonade and laughter. Until next time, I'm Heidi Esther.